We're all friends here, right? I agree. So let's go ahead and talk about an uncomfortable subject related to real estate. And the question is, why are we still using buyer's agents? And if you've been around here a while, you recognize that I'm asking that question as somebody who serves as a buyer's agent. I am a real estate agent. I help people buy and sell homes. And yet, if I'm honest, I need to raise the question, why are you still using a buyer's agent? And there are two answers to this question. One that I think is perfectly legitimate and one that I hate. So the perfectly legitimate one is easy. And that could be because you believe that a buyer's agent provides outsized value, that whatever they're receiving in compensation pales in comparison to the value that they bring in the real estate transaction. For instance, if you're buying a $700,000 home and your agent is making 3% commission, they're making $21,000. And in order for them to earn that commission, you must believe that they are bringing at least $21,000 of value, if not more, to the transaction. And therefore, of course, you hire them. So that would be the legitimate reason for hiring a buyer's agent. And if you choose to hire a buyer's agent, I hope it's because you are convinced of the value that they offer. The second reason is an illegitimate reason to hire a buyer's agent. And yet I fear that this is the reason most people go with a buyer's agent. The second reason is because you feel like you have to. Because the industry has been set up in such a way that if you don't hire a buyer's agent, you feel like you're not going to have a fair shake at participation in the housing market, whether you won't be able to get access to homes, sellers won't take you as seriously, or you just fear that you're not going to have access to the information that you need to make educated decisions on how much to offer for a house, how to go through with the offer itself and the legal documents, or how to negotiate. You just feel like you cannot get the information to successfully navigate the home buying process. And that is frustrating to me, because if you're going to spend good money having a buyer's agent, it should be because you genuinely want the service that they provide, because you believe in the value that they're bringing to the transaction, not because they're holding you hostage such that you feel you have to have an agent. You have no negotiation power in how much that agent gets paid, and you're just at the mercy of them giving you what you need to successfully buy a home. For far too long, the industry has operated with that latter piece of you being dependent upon a buyer's agent as the primary reason that folks would hire a buyer's agent. And the longer that I've served as a realtor, the more that I've been confronted with this reality, because in any time that I've had a buyer consultation and sat down with clients, I have wanted to show the value that I bring and have wanted for them to hire me because of that value. But the thing that I've been unconvinced of is that they feel like there's really a legitimate choice. So sure, they might see that, okay, Nick is going to bring value to the transaction. That's good. But what's the other option? Is there another option? And they feel like, well, it's either that I go with Nick or I go at it completely alone, and who knows what could happen there. And there hasn't been a middle option for folks where it's like, I can learn how to do it myself. I can get the bit of guidance that I need at the most critical moments. But other than that, I can take responsibility and control for the home buying process. That has not been a category or a legitimate option for most folks, at least until now. That's what I'm building with the DIY Homebuyer Academy, because I want for there to be that legitimate option for you who are a competent person. You are smart. You have made big decisions in your life, whether that's because you're an entrepreneur, you've started a business, you've handled big transactions before. Maybe it's because you've bought several homes already in your past, or because you're just a highly motivated, go-getter, organized kind of person that just knows how to get things done. Well, you should be able to benefit from your competency and not feel like you are utterly dependent upon an agent to guide you through the process at an extreme premium. So what does the DIY Homebuyer Academy offer that you don't get with a traditional real estate agent? Well, the DIY Homebuyer Academy, like it sounds, is an educational platform. It teaches you everything that you need to know about the home buying process so that you can enter into the process with confidence. I believe that most people have the competence to handle the home buying process themselves, but what they lack is the confidence. And the reason that you lack confidence is because you don't have all the education that you need. And some of that has been, frankly, by design. The real estate industry likes getting paid. They like for you as the consumer to be dependent upon agents because the more dependent you are, the more money they make, right? It just makes sense. So they have not been incentivized to educate home buyers on how to navigate the process themselves. And they hide behind a lot of language of like, oh, well, the buyer's agents came about because home buyers kept getting screwed by sellers agents and sellers who were hiding things and so buyer's agents are good and necessary, and you wouldn't want to enter the process without them. And sure, maybe that was true-ish 40 years ago. I mean, it's interesting if you look into the whole history of buyer's agency, and it was just as much to protect consumers as it was to protect the National Association of Realtors and Brokerages who kept getting sued by buyers. So they figured, we'll just create another form of agent so that we can receive more compensation while covering our asses from getting sued. All right, so I won't give you the full history lesson, but at least tuck that away of that there's more to the story. But also, that was 40 years ago. That was before we had all of the online tools that are available to you now. Like information and data, the things that you need to make educated decisions about housing have never been more accessible. And they are becoming more and more accessible to you every single day as more data becomes publicly available and as we have more powerful tools like AI to make sense of that data very quickly and efficiently. So then what is it that you really need somebody for in the home buying process? Well, you just need somebody to let you know that like, hey, you're on the right track, or hey, you're not on the right track. The parallel that I give it is that with hiring a buyer's agent, it's kind of like calling an Uber. Like you tell the driver where it is that you want to go, but you're in the backseat and you're ultimately at the mercy of what that driver does. And maybe they're a 5-star driver, but maybe they take some wrong turns and they freak you out and they cut people off. It can get really dicey out there. Versus what I'm offering with the DIY Homebuyer Academy is a service where you remain in the driver's seat, but you look to me for GPS guidance. And every now and again, we'll run into a situation in your home buying process where it's like, hey, we actually need to take a detour here. And because I've seen so many transactions and have helped close hundreds of millions of dollars in deals, well, I've seen a lot and therefore know how to direct you down the different detours to make sure that the process goes as smoothly as possible. But I don't need to take you out of the driver's seat. You are more than competent and capable of getting to the ultimate destination, which is the closing table and getting the keys to your beautiful new home without me having to take over. And because I'm not having to take over, well, there's significant cost savings to you because you're taking on more of the work and responsibility yourself. So I'm able to guide you through the process without having to take over at a fraction of the cost of a traditional buyer's agent. So some of it is just passive education, right? Where you watch pre-recorded course, you read through pre-written materials, downloadable guides and checklists, and all of those good things. And then a lot of it, though, is real time, whether you're engaging in the DIY homebuyer community or whether you're engaging with me directly one-on-one as your coach, helping you work through the most critical moments of the home buying process, whether that's putting together a comparative market analysis, helping to work through some questions related to writing an offer, or negotiating repairs and those kinds of things. If you just want me to say, hey, this is what's reasonable, this is what's not, these are strategies that have worked, ask these questions of the sellers, those are all the kinds of things that we get into to ensure that you get the best possible deal on your home. And one of the other beauties of it is that what I receive in terms of compensation is not tied to your outcomes. I think that that is a massive, massive issue with traditional buyer's agency. And I've made other videos and content on the misalignment between buyer's agents and their clients. But suffice to say that I am not dependent upon you purchasing a home. I don't need to push you towards something in order for me to have bread on the table at the end of the day. I'm able to give you genuine input, looking out for your best interests, because my financial interests are not at all tied toward whether or not you buy a home and how quickly you buy that home, like a traditional buyer's agent is. So if you choose to work with a buyer's agent, I hope you choose to do so because you are convinced of the value that they provide. I do not want you to choose to work with a buyer's agent because you feel like you have to. And if you're thinking that the only reason you're hiring a buyer's agent is because you have to do so, well, then I want for you to consider the DIY Homebuyer Academy. Because here is where I am going to teach you exactly how to go through the process so that you are not dependent upon a buyer's agent, so that you can save significant money, and not just on the next home, but on every subsequent home that you buy. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I am thrilled about this new model and what it means for the industry going forward. Hopefully it leads to positive changes, not just for you, should we work together, but I'm hoping that this creates a movement industry-wide that is better for consumers, because you shouldn't be pigeonholed into having to use a service that you don't really want, but that the industry has been manipulated such that you feel like you have to use them. That grosses me out. So trying to solve that, and I'm grateful for the way that you are part of that, even just by engaging with this video. Now, if you want to learn more and get connected, skool.com/DIY homebuyer. That's where you can join our free community. And by free, I mean it is free. You can engage with other DIY homebuyers, ask your questions, engage with me. Because we're just getting this thing off the ground, you will get so much direct access to me for free. Anytime you got questions, I'm here to answer them. There's also a completely free course to guide you through the home buying process. And then if you need more help or have more specific questions or just want somebody that's dedicated to you and your home buying process without taking you out of the driver's seat, well, let's have a further conversation then about what that one-on-one coaching looks like. So I hope to see you in the school group. If you've got any questions, leave a comment here. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And then if you just want to chat with me, hello@DIYHomebuyerAcademy.com. You can get in touch with me anytime through there. Thanks, y'all.